Have you ever just made a snap decision, one that maybe surprised even you?
Oh, yeah.
Like you grabbed some deal online, didn't think twice, or, reacted instantly to something someone said, and only later you're like, huh, why did I do that?
Right.
That quick impulse, that gut feeling, it's kind of like your brain's secret autopilot, isn't it? Acting before your conscious mind really catches up.
It totally is. And it's more than just like a momentary lapse, It's actually fundamental, deeply embedded in how we navigate the world, how we survive even. It's this complex dance, really, between instinct and, well, thinking things through.
And today on The Deep Dive, we're going to peel back the layers on exactly that. This fascinating human thing, reacting before thinking. We're pulling insights from a really groundbreaking AI-driven scientific study, synthesizing stuff from neuroscience, psychology, genetics, even philosophy.
Quite the mix.
Right. Our mission, basically, is to give you a shortcut to understand the intricate mechanisms and the really profound implications of this powerful human trait, and also show you how AI is becoming this unprecedented microscope for understanding ourselves better than ever before.
Yeah, get ready for some aha moments, things that might just reframe how you think about your own thoughts, your actions, maybe even like free will itself.
So when we talk about that quick reaction, that instant response, we're essentially talking about your brain having like two speeds, right? This is Daniel Kahneman's big idea. Most people have probably heard of System 1 and System 2.
That's the one. System 1 is your brain's fast lane. It's instinctive, emotional, totally automatic, requires almost no conscious effort.
Like,
Well, think about seeing something falling towards you. You just flinch, right? You don't decide to flinch.
Right.
Or maybe you're driving and you just sort of absentmindedly hit the brakes when the car head slows down. This system is all about efficiency, making lightning quick calls based on patterns, on past experiences.
and it's not just pure reflex, is it? A big part of System 1 is this thing called automaticity.
Exactly. Automaticity. It's how, through tons of learning and repetition, like walking or driving or even typing these actions, become unconscious. They use minimal brain resources. They're so ingrained, you literally can't just, like, voluntarily stop them halfway through.
Whoa.
It's incredibly efficient, yeah, but there's a catch. That efficiency means you can make mistakes if you're not also paying attention consciously.
Okay.
And that links directly to impulsivity. That's basically System 1, acting out when you don't plan, don't think ahead, don't consider consequences. Overspending on a whim, suddenly blowing up emotionally, maybe oversharing stuff online. It's totally normal in young kids, part of development. But if it sticks around or gets severe later, it might signal other issues.
Okay, so System 1 is the quick-fire automatic mode. What about when we do need to properly think things through? Is there like another gear?
Absolutely. That's System 2, the slow lane. Deliberate, conscious, effortful. This is what you fire up for complex problems. Analyzing a budget, say, or trying to park in a really tight spot.
The hard stuff.
The hard stuff, yeah. But here's a kicker. Even when you think you're being super rational with System 2, your System 1 beliefs, your biases, they're often subtly pulling the strings, influencing those choices, sometimes completely without you realizing it.
Huh. So this reacting before thinking, it isn't necessarily a bad thing, then. It's not just about making mistakes or being irrational.
Oh, far from it. It's actually, well, it's an evolutionary trade-off, a smart one in its way. Your brain optimizes for speed in a lot of high-stakes situations.
Yeah.
Even if it means sacrificing, perfect accuracy.
Like back in the day.
Exactly. In ancestral environments, acting fast, escaping a predator, grabbing scarce food that was critical for survival. Hesitation, that could be fatal.
Yes.
Whereas impulsive decisions, they often boosted your chances of surviving, reproducing.
It's adaptive.
Highly adaptive heuristic, yeah. Not just irrationality. It's this hardwired system you have constantly making quick calls, built for survival.
Okay, let's go deeper then. Inside the brain's architecture, how does it actually systematically lead to these reactions and biases? The neurobiology must be pretty wild.
Oh, it really is. So at the heart of rapid threat detection, you've got the amygdala, this small kind of almond-shaped thing in the limbic system.
Okay.
When it senses a perceived threat, even it kicks off the fight or flight response, like instantly, within milliseconds, flooding your system with stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, way before your conscious brain even gets the memo.
Wow. So your brain's alarm system just hijacks everything.
Pretty much. It can even temporarily sort of shut down parts of your neocortex. That's your higher order thinking center.
Post-rational part.
Yeah. It's the brain's better safe than sorry override switch. Immediate action first, questions later. Survival mode. And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how this really primal mechanism plays out in complex social stuff, like implicit bias.
Ah, right, the unconscious stuff.
Exactly. These subconscious associations we have that can lead to, well, unintended, inequitable decisions. Your brain automatically sorts people into in-group like us and out-group not like us.
And the amygdala fires up differently.
Research shows its activation correlates with these implicit preferences, sometimes linking fear or maybe distrust to certain other groups, which makes these biases incredibly tricky to tackle, right? Because they're tangled up with your brain's basic safety wiring.
So you don't mean to be biased, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're unintentional, efficient in a way, and just soaked in by our culture. They end up perpetuating societal inequities without conscious intent. And it's not just the deep wiring. Our brains also use these mental shortcuts, heuristics, that lead to predictable screw-ups in logic. Cognitive biases.
Like confirmation bias? That one feels huge today.
Oh, it is.
The real aha, for me, isn't just knowing it exists, but seeing how it actively shapes, say, your social media feed. It builds this echo chamber, right? Makes it almost impossible to genuinely grasp opposing views. It's not just that we like confirming info, the algorithms literally feed it to us. Makes us more rigid, and we don't even notice.
That's a great point. Or think about the sunk cost fallacy.
Ah, yes. Throwing good money after bad.
Or time. Continuing to invest in something, a failing project, a bad relationship, even a terrible TV series you started.
Been there.
Right. You keep going just because of what you've already put in, even when it's totally irrational to continue. That investment feels too big to just walk away from.
Guilty as charged. And then there's the framing effect.
Yeah, how decisions get swayed just by how information is presented. Like a medical treatment with an 80% success rate sounds way better than one with a 20% failure rate, right?
Even though it's the exact same outcome.
Exactly the same. It taps into our loss aversion, that really powerful tendency we have to feel the sting of a loss way more than the pleasure of an equal gain.
Okay, so understanding these, it's not about beating yourself up for having them.
Not at all. It's about recognizing the systematic ways your own brain can, lead you astray sometimes. These aren't personal failings. They're just patterns in how our brains work, influencing everything from daily choices to big societal issues.
And these reactive behaviors, they're not fixed, right? They change over our lives. Let's talk about how impulsivity shows up across the lifespan.
Yeah, it definitely evolves. In childhood, being impulsive is pretty normal. Interrupting, having meltdowns, can't wait their turn.
Toddler life.
Totally. It usually chills out as kids mature, but if it stays really strong, it could point to things like ADHD or maybe effects of trauma.
And then adolescence, that feels like peak impulsivity sometimes.
Yeah, that's the classic time for rule breaking, right?
Yeah.
Pushing boundaries, testing autonomy, feeling kind of invincible.
Right.
Then in adulthood, impulsivity can sometimes be linked with mental health stuff.
Yeah.
ADHD again, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder might show up as like overdoing things, gambling, spending sprees, or reckless behavior, even self-harm in some cases.
But it changes again as we get older.
It does, and it's interesting. Even though some brain regions linked to impulsivity might change physically, older adults often actually show more future planning. They tend to have this positivity effect, focusing on positive emotions to regulate themselves, becoming, as one study put it, better stewards of their emotional lives.
That's hopeful. And you mentioned gender differences, too.
Yeah, generally speaking, research suggests women tend to show a bit more risk aversion than men, and hormones, like gonadal hormones, seem to play a role in that. So, yeah, reacting before thinking, it's definitely a double-edged sword for us as individuals.
How so? What are the upsides?
Well, on the bright side, a bit of impulsivity can fuel creativity, innovation. Think artists, inventors, people who break the mold, act on sudden inspiration. Adventurous, charismatic people often have a dash of this. And, spontaneous gestures can really boost relationships, romantic or otherwise.
Okay, but the downsides can be serious.
They really can. There's a higher risk of addiction substances, gambling, financial trouble from reckless spending, even legal issues. And just personally, it can strain relationships, lead to a lot of stress, anxiety, regret, a real mental health toll. And here's where it gets bigger than just one person. These individual tendencies, they can amplify like crazy in groups, creating collective dynamics that shape whole societies.
It's that the herd mentality thing, or mob mentality, where people just kind of go along with the crowd without really thinking.
Precisely. It's driven by really deep stuff, needing to belong, that fear of missing out, FOMO, plus the diffusion of responsibility. if everyone else is doing it.
It feels less risky somehow.
Right. And this can quickly spiral into group polarization, where groups become more extreme, and groupthink, where everyone prioritizes agreement over actual critical thinking, sometimes with pretty dangerous consequences.
But groups aren't always bad, right? There's that positive energy, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Collective effervescence, that amazing shared energy, that harmony you feel in a shared purpose, like when a whole stadium erupts in applause together, or at a concert, that feeling.
Yeah, I know that feeling. But history has some pretty dark examples of the other side, doesn't it? Collective irrationality.
Unfortunately, yes. Think way back to the Salem witch trials, late 17th century. Fear, superstition, emotional contagion just running rampant, leading to wrongful persecution on a mass scale.
Wow. Or like market bubbles.
Exactly. The South Sea Bubble, 1720. Just irrational speculation, herd behavior, leading to a massive financial crash.
And more chillingly,
Nazi Germany, 1930s, 40s. Propaganda, intense fear, groupthink, leading to widespread acceptance, or at least complicity, in horrific atrocities.
and even very recently.
The U.S. Capitol riot, 2021. A potent mix of misinformation, groupthink, emotional contagion, all turbocharged by social media, leading straight to civil unrest. It really shows how your own personal development, your reactions, they don't just stay personal. They feed into these bigger social currents, for better or sometimes for worse.
Okay, this is where things get, well, almost unsettling. AI's insights into our minds. How is AI even capable of helping us understand something so messy, so human as reactivity?
Well, it's really about scale and pattern recognition. AI can chew through absolutely vast data sets of human behavior, find complex patterns that we humans would just miss. It can give us quantitative predictions, run simulations, things traditional methods just can't really do. It's like having this cognitive super scanner.
So it's not just about AI predicting what we do next.
Not entirely. It's also being used as a kind of test bed for our own psychological and economic theories.
How does that work?
Researchers can actually engineer AI agents to show human-like biases or decision patterns. Then they can systematically test hypotheses about how our minds work, why we have those biases. It gives us deeper insights into the sort of computational cogs and gears of our own cognition, probing the black box of our brains, using AI to map it out.
And this has led to some really wild findings, right? Predicting decisions before we're aware of them. That sounds like something out of a movie.
It is genuinely mind-bending. There's groundbreaking research using fMRI, brain scans, and machine learning, and they were able to predict people's choices up to 11 seconds before the participants themselves were consciously aware of even making a decision.
11 seconds.
11 seconds. It strongly suggests that, quote, non-conscious traces of the thoughts are there already, which really throws a wrench into our usual ideas about conscious control and free will.
Wow. So the decision is already kind of brewing subconsciously way before we decide. That's huge. And AI isn't just watching us, it's starting to mimic our thinking styles too, like System 1 and System 2.
Exactly. Large language models, LLMs, they're actually getting really good at the fast, intuitive System 1 type stuff. But the cutting edge ones, they're now showing expert level System 2 performance too.
Yeah.
Really complex areas like advanced math, coding, mimicking that step-by-step logical reasoning.
And they provide a kind of computational blueprint.
Precisely. A blueprint for understanding our own System 2 capabilities and maybe even finding ways to enhance them down the line.
So AI it's a mirror reflecting our own cognitive patterns, biases, and all. But it's also a microscope, letting us zoom in on the underlying mechanisms in a way we never could before.
Well put.
It's revealing some fundamental truths about your brain, how you make decisions, and yeah, maybe even challenging how much control you really think you have.
Which brings us smack into the ethical minefield, doesn't it?
It really does. All this insight into human reactivity. It feels like walking an ethical tightrope. If we can understand and even predict this stuff, how can that knowledge be used? Or, maybe more importantly, misused?
Yeah, a huge concern is the weaponization of reactive behavior, especially through things like propaganda and fear-mongering.
Examples.
Well, think about the propaganda around the 2003 Iraq invasion, exaggerating threats to manipulate public opinion. Or how industries, like tobacco or fossil fuels, use similar tactics for decades to muddy the waters about risks. Fear-mongering works. It ramps up anxiety, stress, makes people more polarized, less informed.
And social media feels like pouring gasoline on that fire.
It's become an incredibly powerful amplifier, yeah. Platforms are designed to exploit psychological triggers, that fear of regret, social proof, everyone's doing it, those scroll-stopping visuals, FOMO, all designed to drive impulsive clicks, buys shares, and it plays a massive role in how fast misinformation spreads, fuels conspiracy theories even.
Which makes you think about manipulation by leaders or anyone in power.
Right. And there's a crucial difference, isn't there, between manipulation that might serve some greater good, arguably, and manipulation that's purely for personal gain. Reactive management might be okay in a crisis, maybe, but proactive, thoughtful leadership that almost always leads to better long-term outcomes. Usually, the benefits of manipulation go to the manipulator, while the costs fall on everyone else, on society.
And if our actions are often automatic, impulsive, or even predictable before we're conscious of them, like that brain scan study showed, it really makes you question traditional ideas of free will, moral responsibility. How responsible are we really?
It absolutely does. The degree of conscious control is suddenly debatable. And it gets even messier with AI. There's the problem of many hands. Meaning it's incredibly difficult to say who's truly responsible when an AI does something harmful. Was it the programmers? The trainers? The company that deployed it? The user? It all points towards a much more nuanced view of agency, one where unconscious processes, external influences, they play a huge role, blurs those neat lines of individual accountability.
And what about implicit bias again? If it's unconscious, but causes real unintended harm, real unequal treatment in healthcare, law, education, how do you hold people or systems accountable for harm they didn't consciously intend?
Yeah, that shifts the whole ethical focus, doesn't it? It becomes less about judging intent and much more about addressing the impact and proactively designing systems, checks, balances, processes to try and mitigate that unconscious harm before it happens. Understanding these mechanisms, it's critical for protecting your own autonomy, really, and for helping build a more just society, because you're being influenced constantly, often without realizing it.
Okay, so we've dug into the mechanics of reacting before thinking, how AI helps us see it clearer. The really big question now is, how do we move forward? How do we cultivate a more conscious future? What can we, as individuals, actually do?
Well, it really starts with individual strategies. Things focused on self-regulation, on critical thinking. Interventions like mindfulness, really paying attention to the present moment, observing your thoughts without immediately judging or acting on them, that can create that crucial pause.
That space between impulse and action.
Exactly. Simple things too, like deep breathing, positive self-talk. Even techniques like behavioral chain analysis, basically. Mapping out what triggers your impulsive behaviors can be super effective. Learning to pause and reflect.
And this isn't just for adults, right? This starts way earlier.
Oh, definitely. Nurturing kids is key. Fostering emotional intelligence, helping them recognize, understand, manage their emotions, involving them in decisions. Things like structured routines, giving them brain breaks, using stories to teach coping strategies. It all helps proactively wire kids for more thoughtful, less reactive responses later on.
And then looking bigger at society. What about structures, policies?
Yeah, societal structures and policy interventions are crucial too. Leaders, for instance, are just as prone to biases, like overconfidence. So you need strategies like de-biasing training, getting feedback, just being aware. And also choice architecture.
Choice architecture.
Basically modifying the environment where decisions get made. How information is presented, for example. Designing processes that encourage objective thinking over just relying on gut feelings or shortcuts.
And when impulsive behavior does cause harm, we need more than just punishment.
I think so, yes. We need more integrated approaches, combining, reactive controls when necessary, but also proactive interventions, rehabilitation programs, and a much deeper understanding of the person's reactive state of mind, including the neurobiology behind it.
It feels like there's a tension, doesn't it? Our human tendency to go for the immediate reward versus the foresight needed for huge challenges like climate change.
Absolutely. Environmental stewardship is a prime example. Our reactive, short-term thinking often clashes with long-term well-being. You can even draw parallels to physics ideas like equilibrium and entropy, or look at cross-cultural crisis management. They all point to this need to transcend purely reactive modes if we want sustainable, balanced outcomes.
And where does AI fit into building this more conscious future? Beyond just analyzing us, can it actually help?
I believe it can be a powerful catalyst, yeah. It could genuinely enhance our decision-making, help mitigate biases, act as a sort of cognitive prosthetic.
Augmenting our system to think.
Exactly. There are already AI-driven cognitive training programs showing promise in reducing impulsiveness in studies.
And it deepens our self-understanding, too, presumably.
Massively. AI can help us grasp, quote, fundamental principles that govern social cognition across different types of intelligence systems. Even shed light on what causes even good people to cross ethical boundaries. By building AI models that simulate us, our societies, we get this unprecedented empirical data, new insights into human intelligence, emotion, social behavior. Ultimately, you have the power to cultivate more conscious responses within yourself. And collectively, we can design a more thoughtful, equitable, sustainable future. And AI could be a really powerful partner on that journey.
So today, we've done a real deep dive into reacting before thinking. We've gone from its evolutionary roots, the neurobiology, all the way to how it plays out in our individual lives and across society. And we've seen how AI is giving us these incredible new tools to model, understand, even predict these reactive patterns, challenging some of our oldest ideas about free will and responsibility.
In this understanding, it's not just, academic navel-gazing. It's really crucial for navigating the world today. A world where our cognitive glitches can be exploited, but also where we have the chance to cultivate more deliberate, more ethical ways of responding.
So here's something to chew on. Given that so much of our behavior, maybe, operates outside our conscious awareness, and that AI might even predict our choices before we know them, what does it really mean to be free? How might this knowledge change how you approach your own decisions day to day? And maybe the biggest question, what kind of future do we want to build? One where conscious choice, where ethical action truly prevails over unexamined impulse. Think about how you can become a better steward of your own emotional life, and maybe how we can all contribute to a world that's more resilient, more equitable, and ultimately more sustainable.
This is DigitView.